to another episode of Tiny Nest. I'm Kiva.
And I'm Jake.
And I'm Aaron, and this is my tiny house.
But first, we must tell you a story. One day we were driving home, minding our own business, when out of the corner of my eye, I saw this. And Kiva goes, "Hey look, a tiny house." "Well, where?" "Are you serious?" I think it might be an outbuilding for that property." "I think that was a tiny house. Let's go around and check it out." "How do we get up there?" We couldn't seem to get to the property, so the closest we could get was to park on a street above it. We found a path that led down some tracks, and then saw that we could approach the property. And when we did, we saw a guy unloading some stuff from his car. And we were like, "Oh, should we say something?" "Hey, are you building a tiny house down there?" "Yeah, I am." "So are we. Come on down." So we hobbled our way down to greet him. And there was Aaron, partway through his tiny house build, living in it, and eager to share some of his tiny experiences with us. So we got to talking, starting with the trailer.
Yeah, so I actually picked it up from Express Custom Trailer up in Parksville. They do make them themselves there, but this one in particular was more cost effective to get it from Texas.
Okay.
So they had it shipped up, gave them my specifications size-wise, and they just brought the trailer up.
And how big is it?
It's a 16-foot long trailer, standard low deck design.
Okay. Cool. And how much did that cost, the trailer?
It came to about $4,400.
Okay.
It was done. They worked with me a little bit taking the ramps out, so they cut off a little bit of cost from
nice.
the ramps.
Cool. So it's a double axle, just like ours. What's the weight rating?
So this one, I could have got it as a 7,000 GVW trailer, but I chose to go with 10,000 GVW weight rating. Just kept me under having to recertify it every 3 years, I believe.
Okay.
And gave me the extra weight in case I wanted to add anything. So one thing I found neat after I got this trailer was I could detach the whole tongue assembly so that nobody could hook up to it. Another thing I did for safety is the little crank that's normally right at the tongue. I had that removed after I got the jacks in place, which are not attached to the trailer. So basically, for any theft purposes, nobody would be able to adjust the height of the tongue to actually fit it down on top of the ball of the truck.
Do you have many people coming up and asking you what this is? Because you're kind of visible from the road.
Surprisingly, I haven't. I've mentioned it to a few people, and they've taken note of it and noticed that it was my house, but I've never actually had people come up and aside from you guys, of course.
So I see you have some Roxol in the windows?
Yeah, so at this stage in the construction, I haven't got the windows in yet, so I covered them up for the winter time with Roxol in there because they don't absorb much moisture. So if sun does get in behind there, it's a good choice for preventing any of the buildup.
Good idea. So you have the same roofing as us. Is there a reason you went with the metal roofing?
Yeah, I went with the metal roofing. It lasts longer, it's lighter weight, and I also opted for the Kynar finish, which is a little more expensive. Came to about $1,300 for all the materials included, and I'm looking forward to a long life on the roof.
Mm-hmm. So is this cedar siding?
Yeah, I really like the finish of the cedar on the building. It will be a board and batten finish when it's done. So right now I'm just giving some time for the contraction of the wood to set in. Then I'm going to be throwing thin 3-inch strips over the seams, as well as about a 6-inch trim around the windows when they're in. I'm also putting some thought into what type of stain I want to do with this. If I go with a darker stain, it'll last a lot longer for the UV protection. But with a lighter stain, I'll have to reapply it, but I do like the lighter finish. So it's a personal thing I'm working through right now. So you can see here that this is just 1 by 12s is what they were originally. I had them cut down. Each piece in this case is about 10.5 inches. Okay, so this front section was one of my favorite parts visually of the plan when I purchased it. I really do like the overhang and all the cedar that's put into it.
So you bought plans?
Yeah, so from Four Lights Tiny Houses, Jay Schaefer's new company, I bought the shell plan for the Gifford, and I found it really helpful just to get the main structure laid out and set up, and then I could customize the inside myself, which was awesome. There were a couple inconsistencies with the plans, just from drawing to drawing, particularly right behind your head, this section here, going through the whole building wasn't consistent picture to picture, but it was easily adaptable and make it work.
Okay. So you're living here while you build?
Yeah, it's been a challenging project. I moved to BC about a year and a half ago, so no friends and family in BC, so while I'm building this project, I've been staying inside of it.
Okay.
It's been challenging at times, and a lot of temporary setups right now. For example, here's a fridge that runs either on propane, 12 volt DC, so either a car or a battery bank,
Okay.
and just regular wall power in a normal house as well. So, and on top of that, the door as well is just a temporary door to keep it closed until I can get a customized door, which is fairly expensive to get completed.
Right.
When I get to finishing the door, I have I don't know if you can see it, but there's an outline here as to what I want to do. There'll be 5 wooden slats that go vertical with some black bolts that come across the top, and an archway. And in the middle here, it's going to be a window / speakeasy, so it'll be an actual speakeasy, or an actual window, sorry, with some traditional bar that goes over it, kind of along the line of the cast iron here.
Cool.
So for my heating, temporarily I have this little stove, which is a converted 20-pound propane tank. It's not approved, CSA approved or anything right now, so bear that in mind. This is just a temporary solution. The wood consumption, you can see here, that was full at the start of December, so I've really used, including all the wood, probably just 1 layer of this worth of wood so far, and now it's mid-February. This here fan has been amazing. It keeps circulating the hot air. Before I had the fan, it took about a half hour for the house to heat up. With the fan, it's cut it down to about 10 minutes.
Whoa.
Yeah, big difference.
That's awesome.
And this fan here is also powered by the heat from the stove. So the heat difference of the bottom being hotter and the top being cooler, seeing as there's lots of heat sinks that the heat's being drawn out of, has a little membrane in the middle which creates electricity to power the fan itself. For next winter, once I have everything situated, the walls spray foam insulated, which is what I want to do. I'm hoping it'll be airtight, except for the exchanging of air through a heat exchanger, which will be efficient for the heat usage. I'm hoping it'll be airtight enough that I can go for a smaller stove that will heat a thermal mass, which will be a hot water tank, and it'll pull the heat off of the hot water tank to actually heat the space, since it's that small.
Cool. So what's your, do you have a layout plan?
Yeah, I did like the layout plan that Jay Schaefer had set up originally inside, with a few modifications. So this section here is a larger window.
Yeah.
So it will be where there's a desk in front of it, most likely with 2 bookshelves there. This here where the bed is currently will actually be a futon.
Okay.
Which may or may not be used long term, because the loft area might turn out to be storage, or might turn out to be where I put my thermal mass for the heat.
Okay, so you have desk, futon, and then back here?
And over here, since the desk won't be here, I'll have a small closet in this area with a pull-out toilet, which is going to be a composting toilet, Nature's Head. And that'll come out from underneath the closet into an open space, which the sliding door will become a door as well for a small little bathroom area. So when the closet's closed, all the space will be open to to the open floor plan.
Oh, cool. So it's like instead of framing a bathroom, the door becomes the...
Exactly.
Cool.
So when the closet's closed and the toilet's not being in use or the shower's not being in use, that's put away. And I should add to that that same stall that would be used for the toilet, when the toilet's not in use and stowed away, you can use that for the shower. And the shower nozzle would be here, and the drainage, you just lift a grate or something and it'll be set up for a shower stall.
Cool, that's brilliant.
So I touched on the closet, but how this is going to work when it's finished is it will be on a metal bar as opposed to the rope, and there'll be a little stopper here. You'll have a wire similar to this that will come across. When the closet door's opened,
Yeah.
I quickly hook up the line part of it, and then it'll slide off the metal bar onto the line, so I can
Nice.
load up, unload, and then quickly just close it, unhook it, close the door.
Cool. And how about this side?
So this is going to be the kitchen area. Similar to the design that I have right now, with this part being a hinging top, so that when I need more counter space I can lift it up, use it, and then put it away when I'm not cooking. The dry rack I'm hoping to put above a large single sink so that I wash and just put them right into the storage area, which will drip down similar to what galleys have in boats.
Okay.
So the fridge will be a top fridge, so it'll be an open top, probably underneath a chopping block or something similar.
Cool.
This for interim solution is working great for hot water. Basically what it is, it's designed for camping. It takes a 1 pound propane tank and it'll pump cold water, heat it up, and then you can either have it shoot out
Oh, wow.
spout here, the adjustable speed, or shoot out a shower nozzle,
Okay.
which is pretty.
And are you going to have like a cooktop or...
What I'd like to do if I could work it is have an induction top.
Okay. Nice. So what are you doing for water right now?
So in the interim, I'm using just carrying in some potable water. Using a big 5-gallon jug here. I can get it at the grocery store for $3 to fill the jug, so it's not that much of an issue. Eventually, what I'd like to do is have a gravity-fed system, for sustainability reasons, of course. Have it feed down and have a tap here. What I'd like to do is have a foot actuated tap so I can turn it off and on while my hands are doing the dishes or whatnot, which would be neat. Right now all I do is, like I said, add this and just a bucket that I'm using for dishes and whatnot.
Jake wants to do the foot thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. And how about a shower?
So for the shower, what I have is a bucket right up here, which I'm using as a basin. And I constructed a little false bottom there to stand on, and the water trickles down through. Salvage materials from the construction process. These were leftover rafters, and these here are the strips left over from the siding. As I mentioned before, they were cut down to 10.5 inches, so these are the leftover sections that I was left with. And that's where the pump that's part of the system that I bought fits through that little hole and notch out.
Okay.
And then right here, I have a little setup I just constructed for shower curtains
Oh,
that I hang on these little hooks there. Think like a sauna, basically. To myself, I'd like to take half-hour long showers, and so I'm putting time into sorting out a recirculating system, some system that I can put it lineal so I can wash off, clean myself, and then put it into a recirculating system so I can run it with very minimal power and energy usage. So this loft section here right now during the building phase is I'm using it for a lot of storage for my building materials, and eventually what I want to do is have enough room for a bed there, if I have extra visitors or choose to live in the loft. In this phase, I'm still working together on the thermal mass for heating. If I do need more space for that, I may use some of the loft space for that thermal mass size. So throughout the colder months of the winter, I had this ceiling drop down and had some extra of the insulation thrown on top of it just to make the area that I was heating temporarily smaller. I recently took this off. This weather's getting nicer here in western BC. This whole area will be open. I like to have the extra headroom. It gives more spacious feeling to it. I will be looking to make a solution for my mountain bike storage. I was thinking to have it hoisted up and have the tires sit on the edge here. Since I like the look of the bike, it would be perfect to sit in the open spot. So for short-term power, what I'm doing right now is I'm hooking up to my car battery to charge my cell phone while I'm sleeping. I'll show you what the hookup here looks like. So short-term, I have these little clips that I have set up to hook right onto the battery, but I was working on a system where I could have a quick connect. Figure it would be a little safer and a little more organized for the hookup process. So a new development in my electrical system, I purchased through a company called WeGo, a little battery pack. It hooks up to an LED light right now that's one light is enough to light up the whole house. And that's what I use to charge my cell phone as well. I don't have very much electrical demand on the system I'm using right now. I'm trying to be, of course, in true form for tiny house living, as minimalistic and simplistic as possible with my needs. So on this property, I haven't been able to get internet secured, so my laptop is only being used elsewhere for internet usage, research, and whatnot.
So how much work has this been for you?
Well, I purchased this last February. I didn't start building until the middle of summer. Basically, in a weekend, I had the structure up, saved the roof, and that I worked little by little because it was the first time I had done a metal roofing job.
Yeah.
Maybe, offhanded guess, I'd say between maybe 100 and 200 hours to get everything set up.
Okay.
Of course, as it being the first project I've ever done like this, there's a lot of time spent thinking and rethinking. I'm sure you guys can relate to that.
Yeah.
Every step of the process.
Yeah. And are you within your budget so far? Or?
It's been a little more expensive than I anticipated, being that I keep deciding to use the best building material since it will be something I'll have for a long time.
Yeah.
So the cost has been more, but it's done in a way that will be longer lasting and more sustainable. So the project so far has cost me about 11 grand. I'm expecting it to hit about 20,000 when I include all the costs of the sinks and all the electrical systems and plumbing and all that. So one of the biggest things that I found was challenging about this project is the shift in mindset. From owning everything that you will need to renting, borrowing, being adaptive to the things and opportunities you have. For instance, borrowing a truck to move it or renting through a rental company.
Exactly. We've talked about how we don't have plans to move it, but our plan is, if we do need to move it, is to rent a truck or get a friend to help us move it. We don't need to own the truck in order to make it work to have a tiny house.
Yeah, so it's been a very common question as to, how could you do everything in this small space? Well, the small space isn't designed for everything. Mm-hmm. The things you want on a daily basis you have. And if you think about the 80-20 rule, use 80% of your stuff 20% of the time and 20% of your stuff 80% of the time. Right. So just to distill that 20% into a small space like this and the rest of it, and if you're mindful and aware enough about what you want and what you're looking for, you can go elsewhere to find that. And the cost savings alone in living in a small space, you can afford more.
Yeah.
And you're talking about how this project was a perfect example of like what you can achieve with very little. You showed us a picture of how many tools you used to complete it. So what did you have?
Yeah, so I had a radial saw, a reciprocating saw, a hammer, a square, level, one of those little levels that go on a line. It was very basic, and the tools that I needed to complete the project. I mean, I'm sure if there's a professional carpenter that had done this, they may cringe that I didn't have, a table saw or any of the specific angle cuts. But I think the project looks beautiful so far. I'm looking forward to having it finished.
Yeah, definitely looks good so far. We're excited to see how it turns out as well, and we're hoping to come back and do a couple more visits with you, like during the process, and then when it's done as well.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I also kind of want to film your tiny house when you move.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That would be great. Maybe we'll do that as a video, seeing it move, because like I said, ours is probably not going to move for quite a while. But you're talking about, maybe we can touch on that too, is this land that you're on. What's the story with that? Like, how did you come by it? Are you going to stay here? We already know that you're talking about moving, but you want to talk about that a bit?
Yeah, so when I originally was looking for this property, I was looking at some rental places and just asking them, hey, where can I find? And they made a suggestion for somebody that lived in town that had property they were renting out to for storage, and people like welders that wanted some working space that they hadn't owned. And we had another property, which is out here in the Newsom Bay, which is about 10 minutes north of Nanaimo. And it's a beautiful 7-acre property with an upper section, which is about an acre and a half, which I was using for the building phase of my project. And now that I've been living here for about 2 months now, looking more towards something permanent, something where I can have a community almost around me, and internet access would be great as well. So.
Yeah.
Because there's talk of a few hours south of here, there's some people putting together a project trying to create an actual tiny house community, and that's just getting off the ground. And then there's someone else just a few minutes, well, like 20 minutes north of here, that is trying to get a couple people maybe to bring tiny houses to her own property.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely stuff going on, and it's funny because when we thought we were isolated tiny house builders, and then we met you just like 10 minutes away, and then there was also another whole family living in one up a few, like in the next town, and then through meeting you guys, we heard about these other things that are going on, and it's definitely active. It seems like it's active everywhere. If it's active here, and we know that it's a big thing in the States everywhere. So, and we've been getting comments on YouTube from people in other countries. There's just a guy from Poland that said that he was going to try to be the first. He thought he might be the first tiny house guy in Poland. So that was cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's surprising when you get into it and you start talking more on a daily basis with the people you meet about the small project that you're working on. It's amazing how many people can either relate to it or know somebody that's doing a project similar to this, for sure.
Yeah. It seems like, every few people we talk to, they're like, oh yeah, my cousin's friend or something is doing that.
Yeah. Sure. Well, thanks guys for coming out here.
Thanks for having us.
It's been excellent.
It's awesome meeting you.
You too.
So do you have a name for your house?
I was thinking about calling it Walden.
If you want to see some of our previous videos, click on the preview tiles. And subscribe if you want to follow our progress. You can also visit our website here.